Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we're going to do a character guide on Eald'Narche. Still dealing with some voice issues from being sick, but we'll get through. I'm starting to feel better. I'm almost there. So in this video, I won't have any background music just so I don't have to compete with that. So we're going to look at Eald'Narche. Eald'Narche is a very interesting and kind of complex character. A lot of different ways you can play Eald'Narche. There's a lot of strategy to playing Eald'Narche, I think. So we'll kind of talk through that. We'll start by looking at his calls, and then we're going to look at his artifacts and his spheres, right? So his calls, his 15 is Omega Javelin. All that we really get from this is you do get an attack and max brave up, and then you put a defense down on the enemies. Nothing too crazy, right? And then on the LD call, no actual caller effect, but you do put a debuff on the enemies, which is a defense down and a sap. Nothing too crazy there. So I really wouldn't recommend summoning Eald'Narche just for the call. Not anything you'd rather use. I think if you're going for Eald'Narche, you want him in the party anyways, right? So let's go ahead and look at his artifacts here. So for the artifacts, I actually don't have like the max combo here, but you want, excuse me, attack 108, max brave 330 is decent. But ideally what you want is attack 108 and then his C50, which is this Phantom of the Distant Past boost, which basically gives him a max brave and attack up after you get rid of his exoplates. I'll kind of explain how his exoplates work here when we go into the showcase. That's pretty much what you want to do there. On the spheres, so on the A slot, you want the generic attack and brave damage. Plenty of options you can pick here. So I happen to have Gauss on here, which is just brave damage dealt. Once again, Jack, you'd get attack and max brave. He doesn't do weakness damage, so it really wouldn't work here. But any attack boosting one that you like, or brave damage sphere is fine there. In the B slot, I think I like Celis here. It's just a very generic, easy one to use. It's a nice little brave gain sphere. So that's what I would like there. On the E slot, pick something that's gonna, increase party attack. So like Yuffie, that's refinable now, is pretty decent. I've got Seymour on there. Anytime you do a debuff attack up, so that's pretty good there. But any of those attack boosting E spheres are what you want. All right, so let's hop into the showcase. So we'll just hop in right here and kind of show them off a little bit. We'll just go like that and like that. All right, so we're gonna hop in. So Eald'Narche basically works like kind of like a boss with like different modes is the way I would explain it. So he's going to start off with these big exoplates on, and the exoplates, that's its overhead, okay? And the exoplates have no turn duration. They're just there, right? So this does brave and HP damage taken down, 100% debuff evasion, brave damage up, HP damage up, 30% brave retain. So it's got a lot of really good things on there, right? But the way the exoplates work is that once his exoplates are gone, his kit completely changes. And that's actually like the meat of his kit is when the exoplates are gone. Now you have a couple of options. You can either kind of play him lightly and let his exoplates go away on their own. There's two ways to get rid of the exoplates. One is if Eald'Narche were to actually die, he actually will revive and the exoplates will go away. Which is simulating like you're fighting a boss battle that has multiple modes, right? So if he dies and the exoplates go away, then he comes back without the exoplates. Or you can press the phase shift. So you see he has a free skill use of phase shift. If you use that, that will automatically phase shift him. Realistically, like he does start with his EX. His EX isn't that powerful until you phase shift. So literally his 35 CP, that Uranos Cascade, if you want to take like a longer approach to it, you could just spam those. So I won't touch his EX. I'm going to leave it up. But so this is really the only button that you want to use. I mean, you could use the EX if you think you're going to go for a while and you're going to refresh it. You see, that's pretty decent damage there. So what happens is he's going to spam that. Let's use Quick Prayer here. Go back to Eald'Narche here. Okay. Well, let's do this. What happens is when his exoplates fall off, his 35 CP attack, you're going to get all your skill uses refunded. So if you're in for a really long fight and you don't need the stuff from his second part of his kit right away, you could just spam that for a while, right? But what I'm going to do is, because most players will opt to transform early because that's really what makes him good. So we're going to opt to do that. We're just going to phase shift right away. So this would also happen once again if you were to die. But we're going to phase shift and we're going to drop the exoplates right away. Okay, so you see the exoplates are gone. And now he basically becomes like boss mode, which is crazy, right? So he gets a free turn after it and his exoplates are gone. Now his attacks change. So now he's got Stellar Burst, Omega Javelin. He's got Vortex Plus, which is the EX. And they still has the LD. Once again, the LD now gets a plus version. I would not use the LD before transforming either. So that's why you're pretty much locked into the 35 attack and you're just spamming that until you're ready to transform. Once you transform, you want to hit the EX right away. So we're going to pop that. So Vortex does something very powerful. He's going to get a free ability use on the next turn. It gives him an HP damage up, and it inflicts terror debuff on the enemies, which is 2 turns. Now, the way terror works is that if they're targeting Eald'Narche or they're doing an all attack, they are going to basically not be able to attack due to terror. Now, the mistake I made here was I meant to put a lock call onto him. So if you put like a Celis call or a lock call on him, you can get the enemies to lock onto him first. And then that terror will make it so they basically can't act, right? But that's fine. We'll still show them off here. So now let's go ahead and show off Stellar Burst. This is more of a filler attack. This isn't like the most common attack that you'll want to do. But does decent, a little bit amount of damage. And it mainly just puts a small little speed down on there, right? We'll go into Rem and we're going to swap turns again. Actually, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to swap into Luna Freya. And then I'm going to go ahead and get another quick prayer down. I just got to spam a couple energy heals here, and I want to throw another quick prayer down on Eald'Narche just to give him a few more turns. Okay, and I just got to check the enemies here. Yeah, they just got that 2-turn terror on. So let's go ahead and do it again. But yeah, putting a locking call onto him. The thing is when you're doing like tougher fights or when you're going to transform, so typically you want to wait till like he's being targeted or the enemies are doing all attacks to start hitting the terror. Because once they're terror locked, they can't change their targets. Unless they have like a threshold attack or some special attack, right? Like that. So let's go and do another one of these here. Alright, so that's going to get me back into a quick prayer. Alright, so let's quick prayer Eald'Narche again. And then we'll go ahead and we'll just do the CX, that's fine. But basically the way you play Eald'Narche is you kind of just try to keep them terror locked. And once again, you're not able to do terror until you take off your exoplates, right? Alright, let's go and swap back into Eald'Narche again. Okay. Alright. So now we'll show off Omega Javelin's the primary damaging attack that you would do here. And it's going to give him a buff called Mold Cunning. And that buff is just an attack max brave up. Now that did put a warp debuff on the enemies. So you see they have a 2-turn warp there. The way warp works is anytime the enemy takes a turn, Eald'Narche is going to warp turns. So Eald'Narche gets a lot of extra turns from that, which is very, very nice. So that warp debuff is good. And then does a defense down as well, right? Okay. And so now you can see we already have the EX, we already have Vortex Plus up again. Now what I'm going to show you is they still have the 2-turn terror, so we don't need to like refresh that right now. But let's go ahead and do the LD. I'm going to show you a trick here. So we're going to do the LD, which is Exceed Lance. You see he lost the eye patch. That happens when he loses his exoplates. So let's see how much damage they take here. Okay, that's decent. So you see his damage isn't the craziest, but it's how he locks out the enemies, right? So now since we use the LD, this is kind of the combo you want to do. So the LD is going to apply 2 turns of warp. Give the enemies another. It's going to give them the defense and sap debuff as well. But the big thing is you get a free skill use. And what you want to do is when the EX is ready to go, you want to go ahead, pop the LD, use your free skill use on the AA. This debuff act longer throw, part of what it does is it extends your debuffs that you inflict, right? So now I want to go ahead and inflict Vortex after doing that. And if you're always hitting the AA on your free skill use, then that means you're going to get more options of this, right? Now what you're going to notice, and the enemies actually can attack right now because they were not targeting Eald'Narche, But look at how he just warped up there, right? And of course that one went to Rem. But notice that they've got a 4-turn Terror debuff now. So Terror is going to last a lot longer when you do that, right? So sure, let's go ahead and just Omega Javelin. So that's basically it, right? So like before, so just remember, if the exoplates are up, you're free to just spam that 35 as much as you want. And you can basically take it down to 0 if you want to in a long fight. Then you can phase shift. He's going to get all those skill uses back. And then you want to focus on terror locking, right? Let's go ahead and do this. And his EX does charge relatively fast. So like with all the warp turns and stuff, he should be able to upkeep that terror on them. And that's pretty much how you play him. I'm just going to pop skills here. I want to get the enemies to actually target him so you guys can see the... And that was my bad. I totally was going to put... Yeah, and of course, they're just not targeting him. Jeez. I totally meant to go in here with a lock call. If they keep frustrating me like this, I might just restart the fight with a lock call on and show you that. Actually, let's just do that. Here, let me just abandon, because this is very quick to show. So what we'll do, and trust me, in like a hard Shinryu where the bosses are aggressive, like you're not going to have to necessarily worry about setting up or anything. But here, let me just grab Celis really quick, because I meant to do this. I actually took like a quick break before recording this video, and in my mind I was telling myself to do this and I forgot to. So let's go ahead and do this. And that way you can kind of re-see the setup again too. Okay, so we're going to hop back in. Alright. Alright, perfect. So we'll just start with him right away. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to phase shift right away. Okay. Alright, and then before I Vortex, I'm just going to put Runic on, which is going to lock. And now they have to target Eald'Narche. Why is it still saying Rem? That's weird. It should lock it onto Eald'Narche. Does it just lock it onto the character they're targeting? I have never noticed that before. Okay. It might be like after I do an attack that the image will change. This could just be a visual glitch. But they should be locking on the Eald'Narche right now. Let's see if it changes after that one. No? Okay. That's fine. Let's go on Vortex. Okay, there. Now it was just a visual glitch. It waited till the turn ended. But yes, now they're locked on the Eald'Narche. So I just needed the turn to end. So now what's going to happen is they've got terror, right? So now if I go ahead... and I attack through. We'll just let Rem just do an attack. That's fine. Now watch. They're not going to be able to attack due to terror. Oops, except I keep breaking them. Actually, this is good. Let me do a... Sure, we'll do a quick prayer on Eald'Narche. That's fine. Okay, let's attack again. Okay, so can't attack due to terror. And then this one can't attack due to terror, right? So here's kind of how the combo works is like this, right? So let's go ahead and let's do the debuff with the free. So when you're running with Luna Freya too, you're going to get extra free skill uses like that. And then let's Exceed Lance. Well, I suppose I should have waited till the... I mean, this will apply to a longer warp. So they've got warp on right now, right? And then I don't really need to refresh the EX right now, so we'll just do a 15 or 35 to help push the EX gauge up a little bit. Okay. And so then this is kind of how it's supposed to work. Let's just attack through. Okay, and then we'll just do another attack here. Sure, Diamond Dust is fine. So this is kind of the main strategy you do with Eald'Narche, right? So watch what's going to happen here. And notice Eald'Narche's EX is already pushed back up. So watch what happens. Can't attack due to terror and then warp. Okay, so Eald'Narche interrupted, he warped, he can refresh the Vortex. And so now this is going to refresh terror, and terror's at 4 turns because the call was still up, or the AA is still up. Can't attack, warp turns again. So now what happens is because I'm stealing so many turns, I'm charging the EX while their terror debuff isn't dropping that much. And so by the time their terror is going to drop off, I should be ready to go and redo that that EX again. And that's really how you operate them, right? So let's just keep going through. We'll let the enemies just take their turns. And watch, Eald'Narche's EX is already almost charged up again. And the one enemy still has 4 turns of terror on, right? They're like still maxed out on terror. Can't attack. Here comes Eald'Narche. Okay, extra turn from Warp. Can do an attack. After this, I think his EX is going to be charged. Yep, EX charged. Watch what happens. Can't attack. Warp. Now I'm ready to Vortex again. I can reapply. And that's really it. So you can just terror lock these guys like crazy like this. So anyways, guys, there you go. That's how you play Eald'Narche. Very cool character. Doesn't do a ton of damage, but really locks out the enemies. Very cool, interesting character. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.